everyone, and welcome to Topic Time with Harrison Young. It's almost mid-March. It's a little snowy out. We got a Zoom interview tonight. She didn't have to drive. I did. I'm not complaining. The roads aren't too bad. I'm loving it. I'm feeling the spring fever even so. And before we get there, I got to read these great underwriters. Don't have a lot, but they all count, so we got to read them and enjoy it while we do it. So we have Pacini's Pizza in Middleborough. They deliver. We got Crazy Axes Rec Center in Hanover. We got Vape Solutions in East Bridgewater. We got Ocean Street Auto Repair and Service in Marshfield. We got Maggie's Cuts in Kingston. We got New England Floorscapes in Middleborough. We got MP Sports Cars right here in Carver down the road. We got Dave's Automotive in Hanson on Route 58. Good old Dave's Automotive. We got Genuine's Inspection in Middleborough. We got Shoreshine Professional Detailing and Hand Wash at Abington. I was in search of new talent. We got Salon Giovanni in Marshfield. We got Jim's Barbershop in Pembroke. We got DNS Auto Works and Collision Specialists in Abington, also right here on Route 58. And we got the Gunner Runner LLC in Middleborough, dedicated to your Second Amendment rights. We're customers of friends. I want to thank you guys very much. And now on that note, I will introduce this lady, Mary D'Alba. She's an online psychic, like my sister-in-law, Joanne. I guess they're friends. That's really cool. We're going to talk to her and find out how she does it. She looks pretty sophisticated there with those headsets on, evidently. She can hear me better. We've been trying to get her on for a long time we're Facebook friends. What seemed to happen is every time I tried to inbox you, the messages didn't go through, and that's nothing psychic about that. That's a blockage, and it's very aggravating, obviously. But yes. What I failed to do was read your profile closely and acutely, because your phone number is right on there. And when I saw that, it solved the problem. And
exactly. Here we are.
For taking time out of your day to be on my show.
I'm so happy to be here, Harrison. Thank you.
Okay. Well, now you're up in Malden, right?
I am. I actually do online and in person. I have an office in Winchester, Massachusetts.
Oh, I love that town.
Yeah, wow. It's wonderful.
Yeah. If I ever moved out of Brockton, I'd probably move to Winchester. 1/4 there's a beautiful pond in its backyard.
Very true.
Well, tell me, all right, well, let's talk about, like I do with every guest, I try to find out what they were like as, younger people. You're not too old, you're not too old. Tell me about,
sweet.
How you got into this line. It's pretty awesome. You're pretty special people that do this. It's pretty amazing. So what were you like as a kid? Where did you grow up, and what did you do that helped get you where you're at now? I assume it was a calling that got you here, that you felt that was, ready for you. Was that it?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, as a kid, I grew up in Malden, so I do live in Malden still. And my mother and I, when I was 15, took me up to Salem, which is Witch City, for those of you who don't know.
I have relatives there that are witches.
Exactly, right?
No, they're awesome. My grandmother grew up in Salem. I used to go visit her my great-grandparents all the time when I was a kid.
Yeah, it's a fabulous city. So we went there, and my mother said to me, "Oh, I'll buy you a deck of tarot cards. It's going to be a phase for you." And it's not a phase, because I'm still doing it.
And this was when you were 15?
When I was 15.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's backtrack to that event when you bought those deck of cards. It was what happened with the cards that made you think that you could be doing it all these years later, which you obviously are. How did that happen? What happened? What went down with the cards?
So you have to imagine a teenage girl with a deck of tarot cards and her friends trying to figure out which boy liked you and what was going on. And what was happening was, when I would use the cards, a lot of things were coming out as true. So
you were telling people's fortunes? Is that it?
Yeah.
Well, let me ask you this: did the cards come with some instructions, or did you just kind of glean it yourself?
Well, they came with instructions, but I just started to use them, and intuitively, I just tapped into the intuitive side. Yeah. And used to bring them with me to college. I'd go to college and read people in college, and then it just sort of stuck around with me. I went into the corporate world, but I did this on the side for a long time. And then in 2012, I went full time. I finally said, I got to get out of the corporate world. And here I am. And I'm a full-time psychic medium. So I'm very lucky.
Well, hey, you know what you call a psychic that escapes from, you know what you call a small psychic that escapes from jail?
What?
A small, medium at large. Couldn't resist that one. Sorry, I love that.
That's good. I know, that's a good one.
That's a classic. Sorry, couldn't resist that one. All right. So what college did you go to?
Suffolk University.
Oh, Suffolk, that's Boston.
Yeah.
Did you happen to major in tarot reading? What did you major in there?
You're gonna laugh.
I don't think you have a major for that.
No, I majored in sociology and public relations.
Okay.
I was going to be a lawyer.
To some degree, what you do now sort of includes those majors too, right?
Absolutely. You use everything.
All right. Now tell me about how you matriculated to the corporate world with your tarot card reading. I mean, did you have your own, well, you tell me, tell me in your
Yeah.
words, what happened?
Sure. Yeah. So when I went into the corporate world, somehow I always got found out. I either worked or worked a party or read somebody who knew somebody that I worked with. I had like radio gigs every once in a while that someone would have me on, and then someone at work would hear me.
Okay.
So, and then people would come over and be like, well, you were on the radio doing fortunes. Can you do mine? And it just sort of blended into my corporate life too. It was kind of interesting. Yeah.
All right, when you say corporate life, I mean, what kind of a
Mhm.
corporation did you work at? I mean,
Oh, yeah, no, I'm fine with saying it. I worked for a major cable company.
cable,
I'll
like
just say it that
TV,
way.
cable TV, or a
Yep,
cable building?
cable TV. So
Okay,
cable, internet, and phone, for those of you who might know what that is. Worked a lot in call centers. I was a call center director, I was a call center manager, a training manager. Like I worked in all that kind of customer service type of work, which is what I do now too.
yeah.
So yeah. So
Was that
met
in
a lot of
Malden?
great people. Cambridge, mostly
Okay.
Cambridge.
Yeah, I did
Yeah.
some time in Cambridge as a baby. My parents were in college, and I lived in a crib for a few years, having these
Ah,
horrible nightmares. Maybe you could have
oh
helped me with them. I don't
no,
think you
I
were even
could
born yet.
no,
Speaking of that, do you deal with people's dreams
I
when you
do.
do the readings? Well, tell me about how that goes. Like
Well,
like the people come up to you and say, "I'm having these dreams. Can you interpret them?" You do that, right?
mhm, yeah, I sure
Okay.
do.
And
Yes.
is
So
everything
some
you do based on the tarot card readings, or do you do other things too that are pertinent to psychic readings without tarot, independent of the tarot cards?
right. So
Well,
I
I'm asking
yes.
you. Okay.
Yes, I do. So I also do mediumistic readings, which is talking to loved ones that passed away.
Yeah, yeah. And that's got
So
nothing to
the
do with the cards.
no, no, no. So I
Okay.
don't use the cards. Yeah. But that's, that's also a type of reading.
Right. I know it is.
And yeah, yeah. So that's a whole different ballgame to
I
me.
know it is. Okay.
Yeah.
And
That's a
now
whole different ballgame.
do you go all over like my sister-in-law, do you reach out to people literally all over the world on your computer?
Yeah, I have clients in London,
Yeah.
Ecuador,
Wow.
Cayman Islands. Yeah. And then, right here in Massachusetts, but
Yeah, of
all over the
course,
country, all
obviously.
over the world. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you do in-person visits too, or just or do you do both? In-person visits and Zoom as well, correct?
Yeah, all of it. Yep. Sure
Right.
do.
Okay. Obviously, COVID
Yeah.
probably held you back from doing in-person visits, but now it seems like the cases are really dropping like
Fingers
dead
crossed.
wood, which is great, obviously.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Well, how do you spend now? How do you spend your day then? You wake up in the morning and you have like people that you make appointments with people. Is that it? Everything's by appointment, pretty
Yeah.
much.
Everything's by appointment. So, I have clients say that are booked for the day. And then I also just block out time for my own learning because I need to stay on top of learning different things to be able to service my clients. So,
Okay.
I'll take
About them
time.
or about the world of what you do in general, or
The
both.
both.
Okay.
Yeah. But that's
So you're
really
still learning
important.
about the psychic world, even though I mean, in other words, there's never gonna, you're always gonna be, there's never something left that you can't learn, even after all these years, right?
Correct.
Okay,
Absolutely. Mhm.
great. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
And you're good
I
at that, obviously.
well, I'd like to think so. I've been doing it full time for 10 years. And, the most important to me is that a client feels like they're empowered or they're uplifted when they walk away from me.
Exactly.
And I take that very seriously. And so that's, I think what also sets me apart is I'm not just saying, well, you're going to meet that guy, or you're not going to meet that guy or girl. It's more of like, let's get into the depths of you, and what you need, not just, am I going to get a job? Am I going to get money? I mean, all those things are important, but also like, what does your heart really need? And that's, how I approach it. So,
Okay.
yeah,
Now it sounds to me like you do a lot of, you deal with people that, they're looking for love. That seems to be a big thing with you, right?
number one.
Okay, that is number one.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's number
Yeah,
one.
because I'm 62 and still single as a shingle on a Pringle. I feel okay. I mean, it's probably just as well. But I've had these interactions lately that have been kind of interesting. Like last week, I did my show in Easton. I had a guest on. She's really nice. We went out to dinner afterwards, and well, I found out if she sees this, I don't care. I found out she had a child, and when that happened, she came to my house. We hung out a little bit. We watched one of her previous shows, and that was the end of that. So
Yeah.
if let's say somebody would have say to you, can you tune in on someone and find out if there's any chance that I might be able to, connect with them intimately, or, you know what I mean, romantically,
Sure. Romantically. Yeah. Mhm.
right? Could you do,
Um,
could, Because you tune
Yeah.
in, let's say, I don't know, let's say I had someone in mind, for instance. I'm not,
Uh-huh.
I'm being vague here, but I'm not going
It's
to name
okay.
anybody. But let's
Yep.
just say I had someone in mind and I said to you,
Yeah.
can you tune in on this person and find out, what my deal is? You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Could you do that? You probably
I'd
could, right?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
If
And
you,
if
okay, you tell me about how that works.
Well, so usually if you say you came to me and you didn't tell me anything, which I usually
Right,
that's how I usually say to people, just sit down, don't feed the psychic. That's what I say.
exactly.
Um yeah, don't tell me because then I'm just going off what you're telling me and I don't want to do that. I want to tune into the spirit world and figure out what's going on.
Right,
And then I say, all right, what does this person need to know? And it's interesting because you may come in, for example, with the idea about love,
right,
but you really need to know about like maybe something that you're dealing with in your family life that needs to be addressed first before you can get in a relationship. That's what I get told. And so then I say that to you and you could say maybe, maybe not, I don't know, but I think if you're open to a reading, then whatever the spirit world gives me based on, so when I say that, um I'm looking at the tarot cards, but I'm also hearing things that from the spirit world, so it's like I'm hearing a voice.
okay,
Yeah, I hear voices.
good.
So yeah,
That's what you're
so
supposed
that
to hear. We're doing what you do.
right. So exactly. So
Yeah,
I'll get information. I'll say, well, the cards are showing me this and I'm hearing this. Like, where, what do you think about that? And
okay,
sometimes we'll have a discussion about it, but it's funny how things will come up that maybe your mind isn't focused. You're like, oh, I don't care about that. But that's what you really need to focus on according to the spirit world. However, what I tell everybody is that you are the master of your own destiny. So if I say something like, hey, you need to focus on that family situation, you're like, no, 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 I want to focus on my love life. That's your prerogative. And I think that's important that you're in control. I just give information and then you do what you will.
you give advice.
Um,
Well, in a
yeah.
way, it almost
Yeah.
sounds like, it sounds like there's a little psychology going on here too. In that, well, I mean, all right, I'll be honest with you. I've seen a
Yeah.
bunch of shrinks in my life, and a lot of them have addressed, and I try to address my, love situation or lack thereof. And
Yeah.
they say you need to they say you got to work through stuff with your mother before you can expect to have something. And
Right.
that's what a shrink would tell me. I mean, they've
Right.
told me that. I've had a few that have said that to me.
Hmm.
So it almost sounds to me like that's maybe, I mean, well, you tell me, do you agree with that?
Yeah.
Is it part of it is a psychological analysis as well, or not?
It
And you,
it can be. I have to be
yeah,
careful that obviously because I'm not a psychologist, but
right.
I think yeah, sometimes like the spirits just I call it the spirits are calling you out. The spirits will
Okay.
say, hey, they say you have to deal with this family situation. You're like, oh, I know, I heard that before. So it's like
Right.
confirmation for you that that's really where you need to go in order to bring this next piece into your life. So
Right.
yeah, there is some of that in there. I think we're all human beings and we all have our things that we struggle through. I don't think anybody comes into life, just like coasting. We all have things we
Of
have to work
course.
through. And if you do that, then it can open up a whole new world. You heal your wounds, you become even stronger in the world. And it
Right.
from a heart-centered standpoint. So, that could be yeah, sometimes people walk out and they're like, "Ugh, that's not what I wanted to hear, but it's what I needed to hear."
No, I understand. You tell people, you
Mhm.
don't tell people what they want to hear. You tell people what you believe, what you feel based on your reading. And I understand that
Right.
makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
And it sounds to me like you've done pretty well with that.
I've been lucky. Yeah.
Well, you're good at what you do. In
Thank
terms
you.
of like testimonials, I guess I
Yep.
take it, do you have I assume you get quite a few good
Yeah.
ones?
I'm very
I mean,
lucky
I
on
don't
my
know. I haven't
website.
seen them, but I'm just asking you.
Yeah. If you go on my website, you can see a whole bunch.
Oh, yeah.
I
Okay.
do, yeah, I do get people who recommend me to people
Yep.
and I see that all as a blessing. If I've done something that's left a good impression, then thank you for referring me. But I do. A lot of people will say, like, I didn't think that was going to happen. I thought you were, you didn't know what you were talking about. And then 3 months later it happened. And I'm like,
Yeah. And
you know,
that was a good thing.
yeah, yeah.
Okay. Now,
I just do.
when you say you address the spirit world,
Mhm.
are we talking about people that passed on, or just people that have passed on, or spirits that are guiding the light that we live as well?
Yes, I
That are
think
not people that have that, well, either maybe they have been, but it's not just people that have passed on, or is it just people that have passed on? You mean the spirit world?
yeah, that's an awesome question, Harrison.
Thank you.
So
The only kind I
it's
try to
awesome.
ask. Thank you. Okay.
So the spirit world to me is it can be ancestry, so people you love that have passed away. But I think
Right.
we also have guides that do help us through our lives. And
Okay.
it can be, I always call it, I walked into the department store and I went to that department, your ancestry department or your spirit guide department or the saint
Okay.
that you follow department. So yeah, it's what, I just go and they tell me where to go. It's interesting because sometimes when I'm doing a psychic reading,
Yeah.
like a family member will come in and they will not let me do the psychic reading until I acknowledge their presence to that person, even though they might not be coming in for a psychic reading. I'm like, look, your dad's here and he will not shut up. So, your dad's in the spirit world and he says this. And
Okay.
sometimes it's like, whoa, but I honor that because the spirits, if I'm asking them to help me, I have to honor what they're bringing to me. So,
Right. Okay. That makes sense.
yeah.
Sure,
Yeah.
okay. So basically, if somebody wants to talk to a deceased person and their family, that's the
Mhm.
first, that's priority number one for you. For
Yeah.
them,
Yeah.
for you to talk to them first.
Mhm. Yeah.
Okay.
Because they get very loud. They get
Well,
very
right, I'm
loud.
sure. Do you
Yeah.
deploy other, I mean, you don't use like a crystal ball for anything, do you?
Oh, I have in
You
my,
have, tell me about that. Just now, when you use a crystal ball, are you the only
Mhm.
one that sees whatever you see, or have you ever had people that see in there as well, things happening that are paranormal,
I no,
or just
usually
you?
if it's usually me with the crystal
Just you,
ball and
okay,
yeah, and you have to really focus inside to see the visions that are inside the
right,
crystal ball. But some of them are just very like, whoa. I mean, it's the spirit again, the spirit world will be like, this is what the person needs to know. And I can
okay,
describe what's happening and it gives you a vision on what's going on in there. Mhm.
okay. No, I
Yeah.
don't know if you want to do it. I'm sitting here, we're
Yeah.
talking.
Yeah.
If you want to do like a reading on me, feel
Oh,
free. If
sure.
not, then we'll just keep talking. So
No,
we
no,
got
no.
about 15 minutes.
Oh, okay. Yeah, hold
Can you
on.
do it from what you're seeing here?
Yeah. Yeah. I
All right,
have
go
I
ahead.
have I have my tarot deck. I can take a
Oh
look and
dear.
what's
I'm almost afraid to ask because I'm almost afraid to see if
no.
look at dread on your face, and then you'll be seeing something horrible, but you won't tell me.
No, no, no.
There it was. I just saw it. No, I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
No, no, no. I will say I think it's important not to be a doom and gloom type of reader. I think it's, if I saw something I needed to tell you, I would tell you in a nice way, but you can't be like, oh, this is definitely happening. But
Okay.
okay, so I
All
will
right.
tell you for you, Harrison, I think what's really important is that um you have a lot of love to give. That's like one of the major things about you. You have a lot of love to give. And I think sometimes you're really hard on yourself that you don't see yourself as someone that can have love in your life. But I have one of my that I'm saying that I do. But I also think there's some things like you feel like you need to be in a certain place in order to have
Hold up. Yeah, Mary, hold up because I don't hear you anymore as well.
oh,
Oh,
okay, how
now I
about
do.
now?
Okay, go ahead. Keep talking.
Okay,
I think we're
all
okay.
right, all right. So what I had said is that I think you're in the space of, if this happens, then I can have that relationship. Or if I get my financial state, great, I can have this relationship. And I think it's just you presenting who you are. This is who you are. This is where you are. Someone's going to love you no matter what. And if they don't, if you find you meet someone, you're like, it's just not working because of whatever, that's fine. You move on to the next person. But I see for you that it's like an acceptance of yourself. Like who you are is who you are.
Right.
And you're wonderful.
Thank
And
you.
I think,
And I do if I could.
yeah, and I think people, I sense from the spirit world is telling me that you've had some criticism in the past about relationships you've been in, and you've sort of taken them to heart. But I want to say to you that you are the boss of you, and that's
Okay.
fine that they gave you some feedback.
Okay.
But I don't think you should take it to heart. I think we always grow from our relationships.
Okay.
And for you, I think just really be yourself. And if they're right, and you mentioned someone else that you told me a dating scenario. And
I
if
told you
there's
what?
a dating scenario that you were kind of going through, I don't want to go into specifics just in case, but
Okay.
yeah, that last
No,
part you
no,
were
see,
talking
yeah, all
about
right.
something.
Well, what I usually do,
Yeah,
so, I mean, what I usually do after every show, if it's feasible, I ask
yeah,
just about every guest, both male and female, to have dinner with
yeah.
me after the show, if they're
Uh-huh.
available. I mean, if you were here, I'd ask you too. We're right next
Oh,
to a
fabulous.
restaurant.
Oh yeah.
Now, what I'm hoping might happen at some point is that somebody nice that I
Yeah,
might take out, or thinks I'm pretty cool and wants to take it to the next level. So,
right,
and then I'm happy with that. I don't know.
right.
There's a little bit of, to be honest with you, there's a lot of frustration that I deal with that because it has not happened and it's been a lot of years.
Right.
I'm not, but I figured you say be yourself. I'd like to think that doing what I do, I'm pretty darn cool, and somebody would think of me as a catch. You know what I mean? Somebody
Yeah, I
worthy.
do. I
Right.
do. Yeah, well, that's it, but I got this, like, I mentioned earlier a family situation. You
Okay.
mentioned something about mom. You might want to look
Right.
at that. But the other thing is I get this sense from in the past, like you were really hurt by someone. I feel like they left you with these feelings that,
Not just by someone plural times
um,
many, 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 many.
wow.
I think, quite
Yeah.
frankly, that I'm treated like by a lot of people.
Oh,
So that's what I'm basically saying here.
yeah. So next they don't belong in your life. Next, you move on.
Well, that's the problem. I
Um,
think they do, and I want them in my life, but they don't want to be there. That to
mhm.
me is mistreatment, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if they're not, no,
Well,
well, it's
neglect and indifference is mistreatment. That's the way I look at it.
yeah.
Those
I think,
are the kindest words I have to say about it too, by the way. I wouldn't say anything mean
no.
about the people I'm talking about, but that's just basically how I see it.
Yeah. And I
So,
think that's a good way to see it, where you're saying, I want to be with someone who's worthy of being with me. I think that's really important.
of
But
course,
you can't bring in your old baggage into the new stuff. So so I it's important that you say, all right, this is fresh, new person. This is someone I really feel like I could hit off with. I know to a certain degree it's a numbers game, but someone is not better than nobody. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, you want to make sure the person
well,
that
that's
you're
true. I know
picking,
if someone's not right, if someone's just
yeah,
not what I want, not up to snuff. That's true. It's
right.
not bad. I did have a girlfriend many, many years ago, and
Mhm.
she's a grandmother now, and I had nothing to do with that, and I'm delighted that I had nothing to do with that.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
wish her the
Yeah.
best.
Yeah.
If I
So
never see her again, I'm okay with that too.
mhm. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, she had her path, you have your path.
Right,
And
exactly.
but I really am getting a lot of cards about not retirement per se, but as things go on in your life and creating that space to be with somebody. And I want to say to you, um, I see someone here and I feel like you're going to meet this person over the summer, but to me, it doesn't feel like it's going to take off until like the fall time frame. So
Really?
yeah, so I want to say like Octoberish time
That's my
frame.
birthday too.
Oh, there you go. There you
Yeah,
go.
right. That'd be
A,
something.
a Libra or a Scorpio? Which one are you?
Libra,
Ah, all
October
right.
3.
Okay, that's excellent. Libras are wonderful. You need to stay
Sure
in
are.
balance. We are, you are. I'm not a Libra, but I know many Libras. They're wonderful. It's finding someone that can help balance you. That's the most important thing. If they're knocking you out of balance, you don't feel like you're on the same page, you don't feel like you're receiving the same as you're giving, then yeah, that's not going to work for you. Libras do not like that. You have to be in balance to be with somebody. So if you feel like you're in balance, you're cool the way, and you are very cool, Harrison, I would agree.
Thank you.
It's true. I would look for someone who can really balance you out. And it's a little bit of a numbers game, but just don't waste your time on someone. It's like, oh, she's got a pretty face, I'm going to ask her out. Do you know anything about her? Do you? And the person I have here is someone who either works in the financial industry, she can work in a bank, she can work in a finance,
Oh,
but I see money around. And not that I'm not saying you're gonna snag yourself a sugar mama, but I do have someone that's very good with money.
okay, good with
Um,
money. I mean, wealth is nice, but hey, I'll take it.
yeah, yeah.
Okay,
But and she has a lot of ideas for traveling and just she's got a lot of energy.
she wants to be treated like a princess, but she wants to be independent too.
That's it. Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Guess
So,
what, Mary? We're under 5 minutes now.
oh wow. Oh
Yeah,
my
I know. We
goodness.
made it go by, and
It
I think we
flew.
covered a lot of turf. So,
We
like I
did.
said, at the beginning, what I want you to do is look at your screen here real quick. Give shouts out to people that are going to see the show, and then we'll wrap it up
Yeah.
as we started it with my music.
Oh, that sounds great. Well, thank
Okay.
everybody, all my clients, everybody out there for watching and supporting me. I so appreciate it. I really do. And you can check me out on marydalba.com. That's where my website is. Would love to see you. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me at marydalba.com.
Okay. Now I hope you had fun with me.
A great time. A great time.
Okay, if you had fun with
Yeah.
me, what I'd like you to do, maybe the person that you were just talking about is someone that you could recommend to do as be a guest on my show. So,
Absolutely.
because I get a lot of guest stuff now through word of mouth, you got my
Mhm.
digits, have anyone that you think might have an interesting story, text me and we'll have them on as a guest.
Sounds
Now,
great.
before we wrap the show up officially, is there anything on the horizon that you have going on that you want to mention coming up down the road that that you can think
Oh,
of?
Sure. Yeah.
Go ahead.
I'm at the Witch City Tarot Gathering. That's at the end of July.
Gotta be
Um,
Salem.
yeah, it's in Salem. So I'm teaching past life regression there, and I'll be there with a table with different
What's the
items, my
address? You want to
photography
give
and
the
stuff.
address out? Or at least you just give the, if you're not, then just say it again and we'll make, and at least people will be able to Google it when they hear you.
It's called the Witch City Tarot Gathering.
Okay. All right. And
Salem.
it's in Salem on,
Yes.
do you have dates for that exactly or not?
The 23rd, July 23rd through July 25th.
Got it. Okay. So all people have to do is to Google that. Now, what I'm going to ask that you do after we wrap the show up, would you sit around and do pictures for Facebook? Chris, my
Of course.
tech guy will help us.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, then that's it. Then we'll wrap it up. You did a great job, Mary. I really want to thank you. I know we've been trying to get you on for a while. I think we had a very productive show and session, if you want to call it that, because I guess it really was. And for me, I feel I'm no matter what happens, I'm always going to be grateful because I liked what I heard. I liked what I heard what you said. It sounded promising. And you know, either way, you know, you're great at what you do. I like to think I'm great at what I do too. So on that note, are you ready to wrap the show up the way we began it?
I'm ready.
All right, folks. Thanks for watching Topic Time. More great episodes to follow. See you next time. Have a good one. Bye-bye.